En route home from the Grand Coulee area last month, I stopped at the Dry Falls Visitor Center and took in the vistas from the viewpoint that they have there, and frankly, I was stunned by what I saw. I decided immediately that I had to come back for further exploration in these sections of the Grand Coulee. Today, we will visit Lake Lenore, which is at the southern portion of the canyon system, which starts up near the Grand Coulee Dam. I did have one scary episode here, though. I was flying around a small islet in the middle of the lake, which had attracted my eye because it was all white, and ended up getting swarmed by seagulls which had previously been invisible on my cell phone screen in such bright sunshine. Unfortunately, the birds kept setting off the obstacle detection in the drone, and I was stuck out there for a bit, until after several tries I was able to extricate the drone and pull away. It wasn't until I saw the footage at home that I realized how many birds were actually there, including cormorants. Lake Lenore is a moderately alkaline lake, having a pH considerably lower than normal lakes, but not as extreme as soda lakes. The Lahontan cutthroat trout is the only sport fish that can survive in this type of lake. So the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife stocks Lake Lenore with them, and they have been thriving, and in fact uses Lake Lenore as a source for all Lahontans in Washington state. Right now we are walking up to the Lake Lenore caves. These are caves that they're not typical caves like what you find in most places like Carlsbad or something like that. Basically, these are washed out of the walls of these canyons in the same floods that created the canyons in the first place. So, haven't been up here, so let's take a look. Alright, so here we are in one of the Lake Lenore caves. Not particularly deep. I got some other places to be, so I'm gonna get bet there's more caves to see. But basically these are simply sort of depressions that were hollowed out by the Great Missoula Flood, which is what created this entire canyon system. So
unlike a lot of canyons, for example, the Grand Canyon, where it was formed over geologic time and generally a river going through just eventually carved it away over a great period of time. In the case of these, not only the caves, but the actual canyons themselves, they were actually created pretty much all at once by massive floods from the remains of the ice sheet at the end of the Ice Age. So essentially an ice dam had formed in the Great Missoula ice sheet, and when it failed catastrophically, these channels were literally dug into the ground, forming these canyons, and the water eventually made its way all the way down to the Pacific Ocean. In fact, if you look at the mouth of the Columbia River, you can see where there's huge sedimentary deposits in a big fan around the mouth that are much bigger than anything that a normal river flow could accomplish. In addition to flooding out these channels in the central Washington, basically the entire Willamette Valley of Oregon was also flooded, and a lot of the fertile soil of the Willamette Valley actually came from up here. This is fairly desolate simply because the topsoil and all the nutrient soils were just washed away and ended up either down in the Pacific, further south, or in Oregon. So it's kind of interesting what catastrophic floods, which actually I forgot the exact number, but it was multiple times the flow of all of the world's rivers combined, and it essentially happened all at once. So that's the kind of massive natural catastrophe formed these. Now, if there were people living in this area, there will be no trace whatsoever that will have picked clean any trace of prehistoric peoples living here. So who knows? That wouldn't have been very fun.